through my struggles, through my journey, you're always best to serve the people, the person who you once were, right? And I was once the person who seriously struggled with self-doubt, that didn't feel like was doing anything in the world. And so what did I do, right? So I created a method that kind of went through all the steps that I took to get where I am today. And it's not a light switch. It is a constant work, just like anything. You don't go to the gym and you're fit for life, right? You have to constantly work at stuff. If you are writing, you become a better writer the more you write. It's like anything. So the way so the real method is, there's 4 parts to it. Respect your reflection, embrace your failures, ask yourself what you want, and love the woman in the mirror.
Welcome to the Daughter Dearest Podcast with dynamic mother-daughter duo Simone and Olivia Knego, where they discuss the secrets of transformation and how to build bold confidence and unwavering resilience. From intimate conversations with inspiring guests to sharing their personal journeys of triumph and challenge, Simone and Olivia create a supportive space where every woman is encouraged to rise above her fears and love the woman in the mirror. Tune into the Daughter Dearest Podcast and join this special journey of connection and growth.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Daughter Dearest Podcast. I'm Simone Knego.
And I'm Olivia Knego.
And she's back again.
Yeah, I'm always here.
Yeah, I keep saying, oh, we don't see each other in person, but then we record like at least twice a month in person.
Probably. I'm addicted to coming home. What can I say?
That's a good thing.
I'm addicted to hanging out with my parents.
That's a great thing.
Yeah, it really is. Very healthy relationship. So
anyways, on this week's episode, we are going to be talking about confidence and your confidence archetype. So my new website is launching this week, which is amazing. It is so well done.
It looks really, really great.
Yeah.
Like very organized, very professional, very stylish. I don't know. I love it. I think it looks amazing.
I feel like in your terms, I would say it's fire.
That's more of your terms than it is mine.
Oh, really?
I don't really think I use the
anymore?
word fire.
Oh.
I don't know what I say. I guess I say slay, but I hate that I say slay too much.
Okay. I thought you would say fire.
We should do an episode one time that's like your slang versus my slang.
Yeah.
We can bring one of the kids on.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
So anyways, as part of my website, we are launching a confidence archetype quiz. And so today we are going to be talking about confidence and our confidence archetypes after taking the quiz, and really discuss how we feel like it matches who we are or it doesn't, and kind of go from there.
Yeah.
So of course I had to look up the Webster definition of confidence. So this is what it says: a feeling of or consciousness of one's powers or of reliance on one's circumstances. Okay. For example, had perfect confidence in her ability to succeed. Second definition: faith or belief that one will act in a right, proper, or effective way. Have confidence in a leader. I don't ever like dictionary definitions of things, because for me, when you're talking about confidence, it's the action behind it.
Yeah.
It's not just the words. And I think that's what we really want to dive in today. I'm kind of big on, when we talk about confidence, for me, a lot of it is really keeping the promises you make to yourself. And how's that bed making going?
My bed's made today.
Oh, see?
I make my bed every single day now.
So she just actually, and you can tell the story. I don't need to be telling it because you're sitting right next to me.
I don't know what story you're talking about.
I know. That's why I'm going to introduce it.
Sorry.
So she just went on a trip to Berlin. And what did you do the first day? Do you remember?
I did a lot of things. I don't know. I went
by yourself.
Oh yeah, I hung out by myself. I traveled. I mean, I explored the city by myself. I went to the Disgusting Food. I did a lot of things by myself there, actually. The first day I went to the Disgusting Food Museum by myself, which was just like no one, I don't know. I was on a school trip, and it's taken a lot for me to realize that I'm actually not only comfortable, but confident in hanging out by myself. And I didn't know anybody on the first day of the trip. So I was like, let me go do something instead of just sitting in my hotel room waiting for someone to text me to hang out.
Yeah.
And then I think this is a big deal for a lot of listeners. Even I was talking to my dad about it. I went out to dinner by myself, like a fancy dinner. And that is something that, I mean, it was uncomfortable at moments. It does actually take like a lot of guts to take yourself out to dinner and just sit there by yourself.
I see a lot of people do it. I mean, I've been, again, because I travel for work, I've gone to dinner many times by myself. I usually sit at the bar. I read a book. Sometimes I bring my computer. Sometimes I just talk to the bartender. Just depends. But I do think a lot of people have a fear of that.
Yeah.
And what I loved is when she went out, she said, I feel so confident. And, you know, obviously it's something we work on and talk about all the time.
It was, I mean, I've never done any sort of solo travel before. And honestly, like I recently moved out of my apartment. Oh my gosh, I graduated. I don't know if we talked about that. I graduated college. So I moved out of New York City. And this is kind of one of the first opportunities in my life. I know I'm here now, but I have been surrounded by roommates and people for the last 4 years. You don't really get a lot of alone time.
Right.
So you don't really build up the confidence in that skill. But I think over the last semester, and particularly this trip I went on, I've been trying to get more comfortable just being by myself and being alone with my thoughts and not just trying to occupy my mind when I'm alone. Whether that's just like, okay, I'm alone, I guess I have to scroll on TikTok now. No, just like really being able to sit with yourself. So I think that this trip was like I don't know, and the culmination of all of that and experiencing that. And even I called my dad before we went out to dinner, or before I went out to dinner, we being me. And I was like, yeah, I'm taking myself out to a nice dinner tonight. I just wanted to celebrate, like, food is one of my hobbies. So like trying new expensive restaurants is something I'm really interested in. And I wanted to celebrate myself graduating and going to law school. It's pretty impressive. And he was like, I would never do that. And I was like, what do you mean? You're 60 years old. You've never taken yourself out to dinner before. And he's like, I've never done that. If I'm alone, I stay in the hotel and order room service, or I just don't eat.
Yeah. For him, it makes him very uncomfortable. And I honestly, if I'm alone, I hate getting room service. It's fine. Like if as we get in late and we're like, let's just get something, but I'm not a fan. And I don't know, you have to experience where you are, but it is interesting that he doesn't like that.
He's so anti it. It makes him very uncomfortable. And for me, I had a great time. Honestly, it was a great meal. But besides that, I journaled the entire time and really had the time to reflect not only on the past semester, but this trip, because it was a really formative trip, I think, for me. Not only like the solo traveling experience, but I haven't gone to Europe as like a young adult. The previous times I was going to Europe was when I was still, I don't know, a teenager. And there is kind of a big difference between 16 and 21.
Well, I think also doing something by yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk about this all the time. Do the things you think you can't. I mean, where do you start when you're building confidence, right? You have to put yourself out of your comfort zone. You have to get uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I was honestly, this trip in general, the entire concept of it made me entirely anxious because I knew no one going. I mean, I knew of 2 people going. I didn't know them personally or well enough to even reach out and send a text and be like, hey, do you want to hang out? I had no clue what we were even going to do. But it was a school trip that was offered on like a severe discount. Like I paid nothing. I don't know the right word.
I was like extreme.
Sorry. Well, I mean, it honestly was a severe. It was like a lot. I paid very little amount of money for the amount of money the school spent on the trip. So I wasn't going to say no. And then I realized, like, honestly, my confidence really shined on this trip. After the first day of being alone, I had group activities the next day. And I don't know, I'm rather known to be a chatterbox, and I guess that draws people in because I make people comfortable. I don't know. I like to break the ice like the minute I meet someone, because if you don't know.
Yeah, I think again, so a lot of people fear doing things by themselves, but also a lot of people fear starting a conversation.
Yeah.
And
it's a weird place.
And it was great because we had Stacey Harris on for that networking conversation, which I think that having some things in your back pocket to be able to start a conversation with, and knowing that you're not the only one that feels like this when you go into a room and you're not sure what to say.
Yeah.
So I think like anything in life, if you plan for things, it makes it so much easier. But yeah, everybody loves when there is somebody who will start the conversation.
Yeah.
So, because a lot of times awkward silence, I don't actually mind.
Oh, I don't mind silence at all, honestly. Like I don't ever find it awkward.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to be quiet.
But when people are searching for something to say,
Yeah.
like that's
I think I'm a good
difficult
person
one.
for that. I mean, we'll talk about our confidence archetypes later, but I think it really plays into that. Like I mean, I enjoy talking to people, but I also enjoy my alone time. It's weird. I would never describe myself as an extrovert, but I think most people would describe me as an extrovert. I just have moments that I just need to be alone. I
Well,
don't
you
know.
have to recharge.
Yeah, of course. I think that's pretty normal, but I don't know. This trip was great. Like I made great friends on it within a week of after that first night of being like, okay, well, maybe I'm going to do it all by myself. It'll be fine. And I was still like second guessing myself there, obviously.
Right.
But after that first day of really hanging out with people and like getting to know them in this, because it was what's the word? We did corporate treks as well. So we got to do companies and we did like a project as well with an NGO.
You know, you're talking like really fast today. Did you have like caffeine upon
Yeah,
caffeine?
you saw me have a soda. You literally saw me had a Coke.
It's like
We had this whole conversation
I
of,
have to like
should I have a
highly
Coke?
focus today because she is like
I'm
talking
sorry.
so fast.
I'll slow it down. Jeez. Okay. But wow,
You had
rude.
tracks upon tracks.
We had corporate treks.
Oh, treks.
Like, you know, when you go into the office.
You trek out. Okay.
Yeah, that's what they call them, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think
It's
they're
like
just
you're going on a big walk through the
corporate
wilderness.
meetups, really.
Okay.
They're trying to
Okay.
sell you. And I mean, we're all in the same boat there. Like everyone already had jobs or future plans, so no one really wanted to be on those.
Right.
So it's just like a good bonding moment. And then at the end of the trip, like I hung out with people after that initial night and the one solo dinner I did. I hung out with people every single day and different people every single day.
You know what's the coolest thing? I connected her with, we had an exchange student when we lived in Texas. So when our oldest son was like 2, we had an exchange student. So 25 years ago, and she lives in Berlin. And so we were able to, I sent her a message and just said, my daughter Olivia is going to be there. If you have time to meet up, I know she would love it. And they did. And it was so fun to see a photo of them. And
yeah. And that was a great time too. Someone I'd never met before. And we were just really able to connect and learn about each other and about each other's cultures.
And that idea of from anyone in your past, someone that you've met before, that you can reach out to them. And I think also it's a confidence thing, because I know a lot of my other kids would be like, don't connect me, that's too scary. But I think that it's such an important thing. I mean, you learn something from everyone.
100%. 100%.
How cool is it to have like a network that is around the globe?
It's global,
right?
It's awesome. I mean, thanks to you, but I think that I've kind of picked up my networking skills. Maybe not professional networking skills, but the ability to talk to people from you, because it is so important.
So you say you're an extrovert. I feel like I'm an extroverted introvert. So I have to really, and part of it is like, I'm not great with just small talk. I mean, I can talk to anyone, and I choose. I like to talk to people when we're on a plane or in a bar or whatever. I like to learn people's stories, but I do need to refill, right?
Yeah.
I need to kind of be.
So do I, for sure.
Sitting on the couch for a bit and recharge and that kind of stuff.
Honestly, the more I think about it, though, do I really need to, or is that something that I've just been limiting myself to? I'll explore that later.
Yeah.
I don't know. This feels like a thought I need to like talk to someone else about. But I think I actually am just a straight up extrovert. And it's crazy because going into college, I would have never defined myself as an extrovert. I would have said an introvert. I do not like talking to people. But it was just because I was too anxious and I wasn't confident in my abilities to actually interest people, or didn't think that anyone would actually want to hang out with me or talk to me.
Yeah, those self-limiting beliefs that really kind of take over our mind so often, that's why we need to really focus on building our confidence from the inside out, and not just allowing that to rule our lives. Like if we let those limiting beliefs rule, which I did for years. I mean, for years, I let those limiting beliefs rule my life. And, you know, it's such a difference not having that. I mean, trust me, there is always going to be chatter.
100%.
You put on a new dress and you're like, oh, I don't know. And you just got to like take that first step, right? You
Mhm.
put on the dress, you take the step, you get out the door.
Yeah.
Right. But we have to stop doubting ourselves all the time.
And it's hard. I think that doubt is going to be part of my life. I don't think it's something that's avoidable at all.
Well, yes.
But there's ways to overcome it.
Right.
That's the main thing. I mean, going back to the Berlin story, yeah, I was overcome with anxiety and doubt before I stepped onto that plane because I didn't know anybody. I didn't know the city. I don't know the language at all. But you figure it out.
And how crappy it would have been if you didn't go.
I mean, it would
I guess you
like
wouldn't have known.
I wouldn't have known, obviously, but looking back, genuinely, this was one of the best trips I've had, and it was such a great way to end my college experience with Fordham.
Yeah, for sure.
It tied up everything with a nice bow, and I even called you at one point, and this is crazy. I was like, if I had taken this trip junior year instead of senior year, I don't think I would have gone to law school. I think I would have taken a job at one of these companies and moved to Berlin.
Yeah.
Like, that's how impactful it was for me. And I almost didn't go. Like the weeks leading up to it, I was like, I don't know if I should go. I really don't know anybody. I'm feeling so uncomfortable about it. But you guys were like, everyone in my life was like, you should do it. Like, you have to go.
So let's talk a bit about the idea of fake it till you make it.
Yeah, you hate that.
I hate that.
She hates it. I am indifferent to it. It's probably the first piece of advice I was given outside of my family about confidence, and is probably the advice I receive or hear the most. I don't know if I receive that advice anymore, but just hear the most people say it. Like, I mean, I remember the first time I heard it was at summer camp when I was at summer camp in Georgia. And I was dealing with a bit of a bullying situation, and my counselor pulled me aside. I was not bullying. I was being bullied. I just feel like I need to specify I'm not a bully, guys. I try not to be. And she pulled me aside, and I was obviously having, honestly, a really hard time that summer in general. And she was like, you can't let it bother you. You just have to fake it till you make it. And at the time, that was really impactful advice, I guess, for a third grader. I don't know. I just had to put that smile on, but I'm interested. Why don't you like it?
Well, because it's all about inauthenticity, right?
Yeah.
If you're faking it, you're not being who you are. Like, I agree. There's sometimes you really have to push yourself. I agree on everything. You have to push yourself.
Yeah.
But faking it, and it depends on how you're saying it. I like the statement, which is, a friend of mine has a podcast that I've been on, and it's be it till you see it. And so it's that work that you have to put in.
Yeah.
But if you're constantly faking who you are and constantly faking the steps that you need to take to get there, are you really getting there?
Yeah. I guess with fake it till you make it, it's more of, you're altering your personality and who you are until that version is the version you become.
I mean, for years, that's what I did. And maybe that's why I'm so against it, is that I pretended to be someone that I wasn't. I was doing things that I didn't really want to do because I felt like that's what I was supposed to be doing. And I guess that's why I'm so against it. And when anybody says that, I'm like, oh, please don't fake it.
Yeah. I understand that, but I think that it's just kind of the easiest advice to give people in hard situations. But it's bad advice. Faking it is bad.
Yeah, faking anything is bad.
And I mean, in some ways, it kind of invalidates the emotions you're feeling at that time.
Yeah, again, it goes back to not being your authentic self. So if you're faking all of these different pieces of your life, who do you become? And you're not showing anybody your reality. You're just so focused on just getting from point A to point B because that's what you think you're supposed to do, that you're not being true to yourself. It drives me crazy.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It's very frustrating.
So that gets to our next part of true confidence versus just external confidence. So I'm a big believer that you have to build confidence from the inside out. And that's why I created the Real Method. And we'll talk about that in a second. But you see a lot of people that appear to be confident, right? They speak up, they do the things in front of other people, but inside they are like on fire.
I mean, I think you 10 years ago are a prime example of that. You pre-Kilimanjaro are a prime
Yeah.
example of that. I would always have described you as a confident person on the outside because you always led, what's the right word there? I don't know, led with force, led with confidence. We're so unafraid of the room, at least on the outside. But I mean, as your daughter and as someone that lived with you, I knew the truth. Or, I mean, yeah, I knew the truth.
And that's the fake it till you make it
Yeah.
mentality. And that's why. And so I could go out there and do the things, but internally I was miserable because I was suffering from self-doubt. I had complete imposter syndrome, whether you believe in imposter syndrome or not. I didn't believe that I deserved what I had, no matter what work I was putting into it. And yeah, I think that was, and you see that with a lot of people, is that they appear really confident and then you find out that they really, really struggle.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's so prevalent. I mean, it goes back to the fake it till you make it. You have this shell of a person on the outside that you're pretending who you are. And it's almost in a way, I wrote my college essay, I don't know if you remember this, on like literally fake it till you make it on acting and how acting helped build my inner confidence. So kind of a reverse thing, but like you put on this shell, and I mean, I did it for years. You put on this shell of who you think you want to be and who you think others want you to be.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Because we worry too much about what other people are thinking. We worry too much about comparing ourselves with others.
I've become so unapologetic and I don't care what people think anymore.
Yeah.
To an extent, obviously, like I'm not going to go to prison, but like in that, like, you know, crazy stuff like that. But,
and you're not going to make it through the airport.
Yeah. No, we'll never do that. One of my friends, she's always like, I don't know. She's always embarrassed of what others think of even like of us when we're out in public. And I'm like, I don't understand where this is coming from. Why do you care? None of these people, even if they were like, even if it did matter what these people think, like you're never going to see them again.
Yeah. I am so not big on that. I mean, and years ago, I was embarrassed about a lot of stuff. Yeah. Right. I mean, I didn't want to go out to certain things because I didn't think I looked nice enough, or I didn't have nice enough clothes, or I didn't fit in, and I was always worried about what everybody else thought. Part of that is a little bit of my upbringing. And I do remember my parents saying all the time with the choices that I made, well, what will other people think? And
who cares?
Yeah. And I always would say, if I'm being a good person, why does it matter what they think?
Yeah.
Why does it matter?
Yeah.
And because a lot of times that's on the other person. I saw this video the other day, and it was a woman who was saying that when someone is bad mouthing you, just sit there quietly. You don't need to talk back about it, because a lot of times what they're saying is because they're saying that because they see something in you that they don't see in themselves, and they're jealous of it. And I thought that was a really interesting way of saying it. So a lot of times, and I always said this to the kids when they were little, I would always say, when someone is bullying you, it's not about you, it's about them. It's something that they're struggling with, something that they're missing. And I feel like that's true.
Yeah, I would say most of the time it's true. I think there are like 1% of the population that is just truly mean to be mean, but majority of people are not.
Yeah, majority of people are struggling with something, and they take it out in different ways. And even as adults, you see adults bullying other adults or making negative comments that, why?
Literally why?
Right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love to gossip. We all love to gossip.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between like gossiping and just like, sorry, excuse my language, shit talking.
Well, and also being hurtful.
Yeah.
I mean, there are things you can say about people that can really affect them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. One of the things that, this is also from a video, but like 2016, when I was back in my BuzzFeed phase, it was, one of the girls on there was, my rule of thumb is if someone can't fix it and within 30 seconds, don't comment on it. So if they have lipstick on their teeth, tell them.
Right.
If they have toilet paper stuck to their shoe, tell them.
They have a booger hanging out of their nose.
Tell them, but don't tell them they don't look good in that dress. Don't tell them they need to lose weight. Don't tell them you don't like their hair color.
Yeah.
Like those are things that
so hurtful.
It's so hurtful. And it's for what?
And it's your opinion. Like,
it's your opinion. And
why should that affect someone?
Why do you care so much about someone else?
Yeah. And all of these little things, when you hear these constantly, these negative comments, and those negative comments start building up in your head, they last.
Yeah, they do.
And I have stuff from when I was a teenager that is still
me
stuck
too.
in my head that I had to work through for years to get over. And now I feel like those things actually make me stronger because I fell for them for so long. I let them overpower my true abilities. And now I look at them as strength builders and saying, like, all of those failures, those are just stepping stones to success.
Yeah. I think failure is so important. I mean, it is.
And the choices we make sometimes are failures, right? Like the people that we hang out with are sometimes failures.
Yeah, sometimes.
And they can kill our confidence.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Someone said yesterday, I was at this women's event and they were like, you have to be very particular. They talk about a car and then they talked about a bus. You have to be very particular about who you let on your bus, right? Don't let people on your bus that are going to shit talk you or make you feel bad about yourself or give you anxiety. Like,
yeah,
choose the people that are going to lift you up, because there are so many people out there that are willing to do
100%. 100%. What we had this conversation yesterday, and we've mentioned on here before that you're not a believer in New Year's resolutions. And I mean, I don't ever stick to New Year's resolutions, but one of the things, a resolution for my half year point is I'm no longer going to like ignore red flags within friendships, and I'm going to set proper boundaries, because I've had friendships in the past year that have gone really negatively. And when I look back, it's just because I was justifying negative behavior.
Yeah. I think that, I guess let's jump on to the next part.
We can talk
about that in there. So let's talk about the real method for a second. So through my struggles, through my journey, you're always best to serve the people, the person who you once were, right? And I was once the person who seriously struggled with self-doubt, that didn't feel like was doing anything in the world. And so what did I do, right? So I created a method that kind of went through all the steps that I took to get where I am today. And it's not a light switch. It is a constant work, just like anything. You don't go to the gym and you're fit for life, right? You have to constantly work at stuff. If you are writing, you become a better writer the more you write. It's like anything. So the way so the real method is, there's 4 parts to it. Respect your reflection, embrace your failures, ask yourself what you want, and love the woman in the mirror. And each one of those is based on, there's 4 pieces that I think are so important that I don't think we think about these all the time. Self-respect, self-acceptance, self-worth, and self-love. And I think all of those 4 pieces together, that's really what builds our confidence. And so, I have different activities and stuff that we use, and we can do that on another episode.
Yeah, we should really get into it.
Yeah, that help build your confidence. But when you think about self-respect, and I know we've talked about this before, but when you were little, were you actually taught to respect yourself? I know I was taught to respect my elders, but to respect my teachers, my, I don't know, classmates, whatever. But I don't ever remember a conversation, whether at school or at home, to saying the most important person to respect is yourself. Because when you respect yourself, the choices that you make are going to be way different than when you don't respect yourself, right?
Yeah, I don't think we're taught to respect ourselves.
I mean, we talk about it all the time, but not when you were little.
Not in the school system either.
Yeah. And I think that is such a huge piece of building confidence, and even building confidence at a young age. And I'm not talking about confidence in terms of like, you're going to walk all over people. You're so confident that you're not going to listen to what everybody else has to say. Real confidence is that you're secure in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you're willing to accept someone giving you feedback on your work and making yourself even stronger.
But jumping off of that, like, real confidence is confident in what you are. Like, confidence isn't meaning that because you're an introvert and all of a sudden you gain confidence, you're going to be an extrovert.
Yeah.
Like it means that as an introvert, you're going to be confident in those awkward silences or the awkward silences. Like, cause I mean, I don't think they're very awkward.
No.
And as an extrovert, you're going to be confident in speaking up in this situation and not second guess what you just said and think of yourself as, I don't know, less than because you spoke so much. This is a thing that I'm seeing right now of one of the big like slang terms of my generation right now is yapping. So like talking too much. And I've seen like multiple videos that are like when I'm at the function and I realized I've just been yapping so long. So I'm sitting with that self-doubt for a bit. Like I've just embarrassed myself by talking too much. The confidence is that you don't feel that embarrassment because you're just being who you are.
Yeah. And confidence isn't being the loudest person in the room.
Nope.
It's sometimes being the quietest person in the room and taking it all in. You know,
It's just being secure in who you are. It's not, confidence isn't requiring yourself to change. It's just accepting who you are.
Absolutely. Which brings us to our next part. So as part of this, and again, we'll do a whole episode on the real method because I think each part needs
a
solid
good
amount
chunk
of time to go through. But just one last thing on it, it really is what kind of changed my confidence, changed my ability to interact, to be able to take feedback, to understand that it's not always, I don't need to take everything so personally, that I can let things go. And so that's all part of that. But anyway, so as part of this, I created a confidence archetype quiz. And so, like I said, my website's coming out this week. I'm going to say it's fire. She's going to say it's nice.
It looks great. Slay, if you will.
Yeah, slay. There we go. But so you take the quiz, there's questions, and it really, I feel like it is a very good predictor. And
oh yeah,
it was pretty interesting because first I had her sister Emma take it, and the archetype that she got was innovative creator, and which fits her perfectly because now she has decided she's going back to do art restoration, to go back to school for that. She's always been super creative. But so the funny thing is that her growth opportunities are exactly what she was like, I cannot believe this, like, hit it spot on. So managing time effectively.
Yeah.
She is not time effective.
Horrible.
I love her if she hears this, but
let's be real.
Dealing with failure as a learning process. So unfortunately, when she fails, she feels like that's the end of the road. I should stop. I shouldn't do anything else anymore. And the last thing is collaborating with others to expand your idea. She is definitely an introvert, and so she has a very hard time collaborating. She would rather just do it on her own, although most of the time she would rather just not do it.
Yeah, I think that,
So we thought that, I was like, oh, that's spot on. And then no surprise, but Olivia and I got
the same
result.
Yeah.
There's multiple results. So it's not just, there's two.
There's a lot,
results,
but
and it was funny. And I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we're very similar, but so our, growth opportunities. So our strengths are empathy, active listening, team building, which makes
we're the
complete
empathetic
sense.
connector, by the way.
Yeah, we're the empathetic connector. And growth opportunities are setting boundaries to prevent emotional drain. I've gotten better at that.
I am not.
She's still working on that.
Yeah.
And that's another episode too. Learning to assert yourself.
Yeah.
Yep. And managing conflict effectively. I'm not a conflict person.
I hate it. I hate it so much. And that goes back to the first one. It's like setting these personal boundaries a lot of times just to avoid any sort of confrontation, conflict, or anyone being mildly displeased. I'll just go the extra mile.
Yeah. And we shouldn't have to, because we got to set the boundaries.
No, but when you do that, people are like, oh, you're such a good person. And it's honestly because I am scared of everyone else's reaction.
Yeah, I don't like conflict. I can say that. And so I know these are things that I have to work on, but I thought it was really cool that it came out with these things. And I think the other thing is it's good for us to see growth opportunities, to say, you know what, I really do need to work on that, instead of just kind of,
or even
letting it go.
Yeah, be like, well, I know I've been meaning to do this, but seeing it written out like that, oh, wow, they believe it as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not just inside my head that I need to set personal boundaries. My confidence type
Yeah.
needs to set personal
Yeah.
boundaries.
So anyways, I hope you guys will take the quiz.
You
It's
definitely
going to
should.
be,
It's fun.
yeah, it's fun. It's quick, easy. It's obviously going to be on my website, but I'm going to include it in the show notes as well. And I think it, it's kind of enlightening a bit to say, oh, wait, that really worked. And this is what I need to work on. So tell us your quiz for your quiz. I'm
The
talking about
quote,
quizzes. Tell me
yeah.
your quote for the day. Two words
Our
confusing for
quote
me.
for today is, there's a wondrous, magical life out there waiting for you in the unknown.
And I think that's pretty spot on, talking about do the things you think you can't, take that first step, and then believe. So it's, I talk a lot about believing in yourself, but you have to take that first step.
Yeah.
It's the action that goes along with it. I can say, I believe in myself, but if you don't move forward, then it's
What
not
does
gonna
that
be
even
any
mean?
good.
You're making false promises to yourself.
Yep, exactly. Keep the promises that you make to yourself. I didn't promise to make my bed. I should.
If it's not something that you need, like, I'm not saying everyone out there should go and make their beds every single morning, but for me, it's that not even 5 minutes. Like, I'm not out there tucking my corners or anything. I'm just folding my blanket up and putting my throw pillows back on. And for me, that like sets the good mood for my day. Like, okay, I'm not feeling lazy. It ensures that I get up and start my day.
Yeah.
Little things.
Make a promise to yourself. Keep working on things. And really, really focus on doing the things that you think you can't, because that's when the most growth happens.
And start easy. If you never drink water, promise yourself you'll drink like a glass of water today.
Yeah. Well, more than a glass, but
I don't know.
I don't know
how much water normal people drink, because I think I go above and beyond with my water consumption.
Yeah, you do. But that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Daughter Dearest podcast. We will see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Daughter Dearest Podcast with Simone and Olivia Knego. We hope this episode has made your day just a little bit brighter and given you the inspiration you need to confidently go about your week. Always remember to be authentically you. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And feel free to connect with them on Instagram at Daughter Dearest Podcast, at Simone Knego, and at Olivia Knego. Till next time.